Hello everyone, it is the beta patch again. Let's see what I think about the changes here. I did see a little bit, they looked pretty promising, so anyway, I guess I'll just read everything. Hey Slayers, Casey here. The week's beta patch brings two major changes to how scoring works for the daily leaderboards. First and foremost, the leaderboards. Okay, I don't really care about the leaderboards. Magic numbers, okay. Because the theme has changed, leaderboards between main branch and beta branch will be separate going forward. We will eventually add more features like sorting and whatnot, but in the meantime, do let us know what you think of these changes. Apologies in advance for any bugs. ... And now, let's take a look at the rest of the updates, including updated art, like Nonu Baby above. Nonu Baby here looks very nice actually. Very aesthetic with everything. Some reworks and balance changes. A new Ironclad card and a new Neo relic, one of which may be very familiar to seasoned slayers. Content and balance. Hey everyone, Anthony here. This week I will be grouping balance and content changes together to better talk about how each section changes overall. Ancient changes. So, looks like 3 new ancient Neo relics. Neo's bones. Upon pickup, gain 2 random Neo relics. Add 1 random curse to your deck. This is going to be a very high roll and very low roll. You might just get 150 gold and a random rare card, for example, like holy shit, you're loving life. Or you could get the extra gold with a greed, and you get a get a rare card selection with a curse. So now you are starting with 4 curses in your deck, and that's actually not that unfeasible. Or like you get the greed and then you lose all of your gold, something like that. It could be something really bad. Fial holster. Upon pickup, gain 1 potion slot and procure 2 random potions. So this is another potion slot. So now the maximum is going to be 3 into 5 into 9. 9 potion slots is the maximum if you take this start. The random potions sounds very good as well. I think this is going to be one of my more favorite ones. Just because this is basically half a potion belt. And if I got a potion belt from Neo as a starting relic, I would honestly not hate it. And winged boots, they are back. You may ignore patch when choosing the next room to travel to 3 times. So you can farm upgrades or relics or whatever with this. It's not the best on floor 1, because you don't really know like how strong you're going to be yet. But you can kinda just hold on to it, and if it looks like you're ready for an elite fight, you can go for it, and you can get like 6 or 7 elites in an act, in a best case scenario with this. So you might be able to like absolutely farm them. Or if you get clone, you can go to 3 campfires to clone and stuff like that. Probably best case or best use case for this is going to be holding it until Act 2. We have 3 new Neo options you can choose from. I especially like adding more variety to Neo, so we will be looking to expand her set of relics even more over time. Then some Ironclad cards. Depreciated grapple. So grapple no longer exists. This grapple card was the one that gave you block on the turn. No, gave you damage on the enemy whenever you gained armor. I honestly kinda liked grapple. It was pretty nice to get like, grapple into double block. It was like 21 damage or something like that upgraded. So I think it was actually pretty good. I'm a bit sad that they removed it, but you know what? They need to make changes or room for something. I don't think it was very necessary. For the Ironclad, it didn't really work in any archetype that well. So yeah. Besides, they added a new Ironclad card. Not yet. Cost to skill, rare, so this is a rare card. And heal 10 or 13 HP and exhaust. Healing is obviously very, very, very important. This is now the only healing card in the game. They removed almost everything, but obviously Ironclad has self-damage, so I had a lot of runs too, where the self-damage just killed me, like I was going to 0 HP basically, even though I wasn't really taking damage from enemies, just because I couldn't finish the enemies fast enough, and there was no healing if you didn't get like really nice relics. And you couldn't upgrade your cards because you had to rest every time, because your own cards did like 15 damage to you per combat. Like Inferno and like a Blood Wall or whatever else. Like they were horrendous to use, just because of the fact that you ran out of HP. So I like that they added a heal 10 exhaust. Obviously, this might encourage some bad things if it's possible, but I don't really see the possibility. Like you could get this on another character, you know, maybe on the Silent where you can like burst it. I can't really think of anything else, but no, Necrobinder with the card that adds replay. Then you could remove the exhaust from this to make it a lot better as well, but it's not exactly the choicest of removals for the exhaust. It can only be like situationally useful if you can farm the HP against a weak enemy that doesn't scale, or that you outscale. Otherwise it's going to be difficult. I really like the addition of a healing card for Ironclad, he just needed it. Additionally, they changed Colossus, so rarity decreased from rare to common. No, to uncommon. Otherwise unchanged. This was one of my favorite cards, I think, on the Ironclad. It felt really good to play every single time you played it, especially in the late game. It was basically 10 block, in the absolute worst case scenario if you have vulnerable on the enemy. And best case scenario, you're against the Doormaker and he's hitting you for 50 damage. And now he's hitting you for 20, with just this one cost card, as long as he was vulnerable. So yeah, Colossus is very nice. I'm happy that they made it uncommon. This set of changes is directly aimed at improving Ironclad's survivability in a big way. Colossus moving to the uncommon pool helps lessen the need for rare defensive options, and should also help Ironclad players that are missing out on weak. To make room for uncommon Colossus, an existing uncommon had to be cut. I don't know if I agree really, like with removing cards, especially, but you know, I can get behind it. Grapple wasn't that important. Then a lot of silent changes as well. Other characters not really. Firstly, acrobatics. Rarity increased from common to uncommon. Follow through has been reworked. Now it went to a common, and now it is going to be a cost 1, deal 7 or 9 damage. If you have 5 or more cards in your hand, hits an additional time. Really mid. And now it is going to be literally a 14 damage card. 14 damage best case scenario, or upgraded 18. I don't really see a reason why you would be taking this. If you remember Slate Spire 1, it had a card called Bane. And Bane unupgraded was the same, and upgraded it was actually better. And the only thing it needed was poison on the enemy, which was easier to achieve than this. So I think follow through is going to be absolute ass now. I think it was very strong previously, like one of the best weak sources in the game. And very nice AoE as well. So these two are nerfs obviously. I mean, this is a rework, but follow through is a lot worse now. Like, it is just a common attack now. Then they buffed Memento Mori. So this was an uncommon that gained extra damage every single time you discarded a card on the turn. It is now going to deal 1 more damage. And buffed Speedster. Yeah, Speedster was really rough after the nerfs. It was alright before them. Damage increased from 1 to 2 to 2 flat, and upgrade changed to gaining innate. So it is always 2 damage now, and it also gains innate, so that's actually like a decent card. If you can play it for easily, especially like imagine turn 1, you've got the Tetskara bonus for extra energy on turn 1. You could just slap a speedster in there, you get something to play with your energy, and you get like a permanent power in there. I feel like that's a good change. It might still be indirectly nerfed because you're not going to be having like 3 acrobatics every run. So the extra draw is going to be harder to get, I think. Acrobatics has consistently been a problem as a common, completely dominating both win rates and pick rates. When compared to the other cards in its family, Scheme, Pars, Glimmer and Burning Pact, it stood out as the only common. At uncommon I expect it to still dominate pick rates, while giving me the breathing room to not overly nerf Salai cards. And in fact maybe give silent buffs to the Salai cards, because it's going to be harder to find Salai activators. I think I can get behind with that, because a lot of the Salai cards that got nerfed, they ended up not being very impactful anymore. Except the common block card, which is still insane. Recent changed Regalite Relic. Now grants block for any card created, not just colorless cards. So Regalite is the relic that gave you 2 block every time you created a colorless card. Now it is giving you block for any card created. Nice. I think that's a very needed buff. This change makes Regalite consistent with Arsenal and gives more love to the Regent's status generating cards. I actually had recently a Regent status run, and yeah, I love the buffs to that. It can be like a really fun deck to play with when you get it to work. Very, very rarely. Then a lot of enemy nerfs. Depreciated tunneling twosome fight from the Hive. I think this one was the tunneler and the one that gave you daisies, the little mechanical pum pum pum. So they removed that. Makes sense. It was terrifying. You know, this fight would, if you couldn't proc the block on the tunneler on the first turn, or the second I guess, it would hit you for 40 damage. It hit you for 39 I think. So it was one of the most terrifying fights you could get. Plus it gave you daisies, so it reduced your ability to block as well. It was obviously not the fastest scaling, but I did feel like it was a bit too strong. And a bit the fact that it was a tunneler and like a mechanical bug, it didn't really feel thematically consistent. So yeah, I can see why they removed it. Maybe they want to add something else later on instead. Obviously this is going to have more acts and more enemies later on, so yeah, I like it. And next up, very nice changes. Nerfed Living Fog. No longer increases the amount of bombs it spawns over time. This is the only normal enemy that straight up ended my run from like 60 HP. I was playing a Necrobinder deck with souls. You see where that's going? So I drew the souls. I couldn't play the souls. I couldn't really play my blocks. I had to choose one. I didn't really have any attacks. This guy just completely one-shot me. Like after I completely deleted an elite, I went into a normal fight, and the Living Fog just... Pew, it was hopeless. The second I realized that is possible, I thought, yeah, this needs to be nerfed even more. Also in multiplayer, the bombs are really, really difficult to kill. In single player they are passable, but in multiplayer they've got like 25 HP I think, or 20. So with my brother we have found this to be a big problem. Nerfed Skulking Colony. HP decreased from 74 to 79 to 70, 75. I mean obviously it is like 5% of its HP, so it's obviously a big change in terms of numbers. No, but more importantly, it lets you kill it one turn faster if you are like proccing the max damage every turn. And if you fight this later on in the act, that's probably going to be happening, so yeah, I like this. Especially for the Ironclad, who was getting absolutely hit on by this thing. And next up, nerfed Birdonis. HP decreased from 91 to 99 to 94, 99 to 81, 90 to 84, 90. So he's got 10 less HP. I feel like Birdonis, yeah, I think it probably was the hardest elite. You know, after I've played a little bit. Originally I thought it was the easiest. But after I've played a little bit more, you know, it hits really hard if you cannot weaken. Because you couldn't quite do enough damage to kill it. And it was hitting you for like 16 I think, or 17, and then a 4x4, and then 19, and then a 6x4, something like that. 9 HP change is pretty big. It's like 10% of its HP. People usually underestimate these changes, but it makes it feel a lot more burstable. Especially if you encounter this as the first elite. Yeah, Doormaker anyway. Overall damage numbers nerfed and moves moved around to better align with the Doormaker powers. So he's going to be doing the attacks at a different order. I think they moved the multi-hit to be the third instead of the second, basically, and I think the strong hit is on another turn. I think the strong hit is on turn 2, pretty sure. No longer applies debuffs, and it gains less strength. I agree with this. This was the heart as a Act 3 boss, you know? Like they are going to add a Act 4, right? Probably. So I don't think an Act 3 boss should be harder than anything in Slate Spire 1. You know? Like the other two bosses, they are like babies compared to the beta Doormaker. It is like the single-handedly scariest thing you could see on the map. Like you're playing a draw deck, and you see the Doormaker, and you think, well, let's hit. You know, I nearly lost a silent run with the Dark Embrace, with a shift deck. I was breathing through every other enemy, effortlessly. The Doormaker comes, and he exhausts my cards, number 1. He stops me from drawing, number 2, and he stops me from playing my setup cards on turn 3. So there was nothing I could do. The only thing that allowed me to win is because I was full HP from breezing through the act otherwise. Like the Doormaker is terrifying, so I agree with making him scale a little bit less and not applying the debuffs, so you're not extra fucked on a bad draw. So Doormaker maintains his troublesome powers, but gets several changes to make the fight more manageable and feel less oppressive. So yeah, I really agree with this. Additionally, I have started focusing on removing some of the spikiness from Act 1 with the long-term plan to shift some of the difficulty from Act 1 to Act 3. The Skulking Colony change is hopefully the last for a while, as the minor HP adjustment allows killing it 1 turn earlier at Ascension 8. And by the way, yeah, the Skulking Colony has been changed in every patch so far. First it was the easiest elite, it became the hardest, it became a middle level elite, they made it do more damage, and then they now are reducing its HP. So it has been changed quite a bit. Then some more art for some cards. Oh, I'm surprised they changed the bad luck art because I really liked it. Shadow Shield as well. I'm curious about the other ones. Adaptive Strike, Smokestack and Outbreak. A new art for Neo Relics. User interface and experience. Just reading without reading out loud because I feel like these are probably not important. Oh yeah, this is just the leaderboard and score. I don't care about this at all really. Fixed an issue where if the player dragged a multi-target attack out of their hand, the damage amount previewed on the attack wouldn't include their strength if some enemies had a vulnerable while others didn't. Yeah, that's very nice change actually. Ascension unlocked text is no longer displayed in daily or custom runs. Yeah, because you cannot gain ascensions in custom arcs runs. Fixed Blade of Ink and Knife Trap, like visual incorrections there. Fixed Reflect card, enchanted with imbued wearing off before the player turn actually begins. I wonder what this means. I don't know what this actually means. Maybe the Reflect disappeared before the turn 1 started? I feel like that's probably it. Interesting, that's a very nice change for Reflect. Because obviously Reflect is a card that you would want to imbue. Fixed Self-Doom, killing the player if they kill the enemy via Stampede card first. That is very unfortunate if that happened to you. Fixed Knowledge Demon background music, as well for the Queen. Missing Crossbow Ruby Raider, fire animations, so they added animations to the Act 1 enemies. The hard enemies, like for different people, you know, with like 20 HP that hit for a lot. Poison now always procs before the Insatiable tries to eat you. Okay, that's very nice actually for a poison. Fixed belt buckle relic removing dexterity if another player gets a potion from alchemy card. Very specific, kinda funny. Fixed history course relic playing believe in you card before the start of turn energy reset. Fixed smokestack power blocking of another player's statuses. Oh, I was doing that before. Clearly I missed out on that one with my brother. I should have tried that. That's a shame. I need to go on the main patch to play with the smokestack, so both of us can just play the glow build and then the status build and, you know, completely cook the enemies. That's going to be really fun to try. Yeah, that's all. Overall, not that many changes, but I agree with all of them. Firstly, acrobatics being literally less common. Not common anymore. That is a really big change for the silent gameplay. Follow through not giving you weakness is going to be a big change as well. And speedster being playable again is also a big change because, well, you can actually pick this card without absolutely trolling. And the innate is really nice for consistency as well, if you're really using a draw deck. And Memento Mori, yeah, more damage. Nice. This is a decent card now. Well, it was kinda decent before as well, it just wasn't good. It still is not special, but maybe you want to pick it sometimes, just as a damage card, if you don't get anything else. Upgraded, with a single discard, this goes to dealing like 17 damage. And that's not bad at all. Especially if the discarded card happens to be Sly. Especially in that situation. Yeah, and the enemy nerfs to Act 1. I can get behind all three of these. They're nice, especially for the Skulking Colony and the Living Fog. So they want to remove the Act 1 being a complete death trap and make Act 3 harder, but without one of the bosses being like the hard level of a danger. Like people say, oh, the Doormaker is not that strong. Bro, he was fucking strong. Like, he was by far the hardest boss for a lot of decks. Anyway, yeah, that's what I think of the changes here. If you agree with the analysis here, give me a like. And check out some of my other videos. The video ended up actually being a bit long. Hopefully my audio sounds fine and everything. I had some monster before recording, so hopefully that doesn't affect my energy too much. Yeah, thanks for watching, bye bye.